people like Martin Shkreli, the Pharma Bro, or people like Elizabeth Holmes or Sam Bankman-Fried, all these people, these real life characters who sort of pretend they're saving the world or helping people realize their financial goals or whatever it is, and then ultimately just take care of themselves and steal.
It's not right.
You've come too far. There's someone here.
Home invasion, kidnapping, torture. And the night is still young.
Oh, here's the bad guy and the creator of the bad guy.
How are you?
How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
Cutter, one of the things that I like about this film, it's very few films use Reddit as a source, and for me, Reddit it's one of my favorite social media to get information from it. How this inspiration came to not just to create the whole story about the currency, but also to create characters around this. They have the similarity, desperation of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit is a gold mine of comedy, of information, of all kinds of things. But I think specifically if you're making a movie about crypto and people who get scammed by a crypto grifter, they've got to the plan has to be hatched on message boards. It has to be hatched on Reddit. And so I think that was just kind of like, it's just it's the natural breeding ground for these characters to sort of come up with what they're going to do to get revenge.
And Josh, you represent so many bad guys in real life. The people has blame because, the whole currency thing, that they stole the money, that they trust people. And when you trust someone, they're going to multiply your money. You just give everything because you expect something in return. So where did you find this inspiration to create this calm guy, but smart and cold-blooded person that it just know how to move all the pieces in a chess game?
That's such a great way to look at it, by the way. Someone who is just never feeling and always just thinking about the logical next move, just kind of a devious chess player. I mean, as with so many projects, it starts with the script. Cutter and our writer, John Hybe, did such an incredible job just creating a character who is so smart, so sinister, and, a little bit sociopathic. And the other thing that was just, so fun to look through and also so chilling was sort of getting into the minds of some of the real life people like this, people like Martin Shkreli, the Pharma Bro, or people like Elizabeth Holmes or Sam Bankman-Fried, all these people, these real life characters who sort of see what they want to be, which is like, the very important tech CEO type. And so, put on the turtleneck and change their voice and pretend they're saving the world or helping people realize their financial goals or whatever it is. And then ultimately just take care of themselves and steal. Because that's what they are. They're just crooks. They're the modern day snake oil salesmen. And yeah, modeling after some of those people and trying to understand what makes them tick and that underlying greed and self-interest is, I wouldn't say fun to get into, but certainly very interesting.
I felt that I was watching this kind of Coen film, the Coen blood films, that this character, they're just small crooks that get in trouble, and then they can't handle because plan A never works. So, but they don't have a plan B or C. They just go with it. They just go with things that are happening, and that borderline between dark humor and thriller, and then drama. Because at the beginning we see this guy, a Raúl Castillo character, that he's a father that he want to give everything to his daughter. And create some sentimental feelings because I have a daughter and I think I'll be in that desperation. And in terms of creating that fine line between comedy, dark humor, and these characters get in trouble and deeper and deeper and deeper. How do you create something like this, Cutter, and then you just transmit everything to Josh? And Josh, how do you receive? Because you are basically the pinpoint of everything that happens in this film.
Yeah, I mean, the Coen brothers are basically my favorite filmmakers, especially the movies
I can tell.
Veer into this type of thing. I love movies about criminals who get in over their heads. I feel like as a filmmaker, that's kind of what you are. You're like a person who goes intentionally and gets in way over your head into a project. So maybe there's like a part of that is true. to me. But I think, ultimately, dark comedy and thriller to me sort of go hand in hand in some ways. And we would always use this kind of metaphor of like we want to use the comedy to keep the darkness from going too far, and sort of using it as like the ropes to keep it from falling off the cliff. And you know, players like Josh and Tony have such an incredible sense of humor and a sense of improv and great instincts that was kind of always there for us to pull and play with.
I felt sorry for Tony's character because he didn't want it to be there. He just was pushed to be there, and then he didn't know how to get out of that situation. And Josh, how do you receive what Corey wanted to create? Because you are the pinpoint. You are this guy who they wanted to do something to him, and I don't know. It's just like I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just you are the inspiration of these guys doing what they do. And I wonder how do you receive this explanation of your character from Coder?
Well, we would sit down, and one of the things I love about working with Cutter is he's so open, and it's so much about the discussion as you're crafting this thing together. So I remember we went to like we basically spent a lot of time in that mansion where we shot, and we went up to like the very top in this kind of small room, and just kind of started talking about the character. And I remember Cutter said, "I really think of him as a wolf in sheep's clothing," and that unlocked so much for me because we do have this perception of kind of like the tech CEOs, the tech world, as like these kind of like meek, nerdy guys who, their heart's in the right place, and they have their weird hoodie and socks with sandals fashion, and you're like, oh, they're harmless. And then you get to know a little bit more about them, and it turns out maybe they're not so harmless. In fact, maybe they're absolutely terrifying, and maybe they're thieves, and maybe they're sociopaths. And that as the guiding principle for this character is of like, oh, I'm sure it's no big deal. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding to, oh no, he's dangerous, and we should all run for our lives.
Well, but something beautiful also. It's that is created around a storm, so they don't have the option to leave that place. And if they leave that place, something will happen. And then it's just that dichotomy between okay, should I stay? Because if I stay, I'm gonna get in trouble. But if I leave, I'm also gonna get in trouble. So you just choose your poison. And I think when you get into that situation, those characters kept me interested of what was going on with them, and I care about them at the end.
Yeah, I think Cutter did such a great job of almost creating an additional character of the elements, right? The storm, the cold, the ice,
The
it,
house, the
the
house is another
house.
character too.
Totally, the heads on the wall. Like you just feel trapped. You feel like your back is against the wall, which is how these characters. That's where they're coming from, right? Like everything has been taken from them. They're stuck. What are they going to do? And then, as you point out, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, or as the case may be, a crossbow and a blizzard. But yeah, I think Cutter did such a great job of creating that tension and just ratcheting it up as you go.
It's asking for the passphrases.
I don't keep passphrases just lying around there in secure locations.
This armed robber with a vendetta charade.
One of the things that I really enjoy about the film is like it shows what could happen to a normal person that can feel they lost their money because we heard the story, we heard the news, but we never imagine what a person can go. Of course, I hope it doesn't go to the extreme. But how do you create a character like that? It borderline what anyone could go with desperation, with needed of their money back, to go to the stream of that desperation and do what these characters do.
I mean, to be quite frank, I remember seeing my dad go through a similar situation when I was a kid and kind of lose his job in a very kind of unwarranted way that really kind of put our family in a precarious situation. And seeing my parents really, really scared and seeing my dad very scared about being able to provide for his family, and having my mom there and who motivated him to kind of pull it together. And I was very lucky to have my parents that were together and that they were able to be there in one of those circumstances. So that to me, I mean, it's very universal. It's very, I think any a lot of people can kind of identify with the the story of Billy's story, with Eva's story, with Dom's story, with the position that these three characters are in. I mean, it's the film is a thriller. It's very funny. It's very dark and dynamic, but it's ultimately a story about the little man, and I think a lot of us have been there at some point or another. So I thought that element of the film was very universal.
Yeah, there's that one scene where you're talking to your daughter on FaceTime that like broke
Hmm.
my heart.
Hmm.
I was just
Hmm.
like, you will do anything for your child. You will do anything, like, or any for a person that you love, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that to me really registered why they do what they do.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think like you were saying, like that is very universal.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
I also have a daughter that is around your character's daughter, and there's something real about that innocence, and that you want to protect them because that's how you
Hmm.
bring the PlayStation, and that's why at the end of the movie you have this kind of conversation, and your happiness, even when that ending is going on, is that you know she's gonna be safe,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that face of that your character make, it's about happiness and something, also like as metaphoric, it's what's going on outside because it's super cold. It's like nobody cares what's going on outside, just you, that you wanna get your back, you want your life back,
Yeah.
and but the borderline of being real and funny, I think it's the master of the narrative. And
Mm.
how do you create that, as a character? Do you create this from the rehearsal, from the script, while you're shooting the movie, or this is a conversation that you have ongoing with the director and producers?
That was very much in the script. The script it reads very funny. It moves very fast. Both of those elements are in the writing, and I think the only other as important element is the casting, and I think they did a really great job of putting some of my favorite actors in this film, and in these great roles, and sort of the chemistry was naturally there. I felt like there wasn't it wasn't much of a reach in terms of trying to find the tone of the film, because I felt like we were all on the same page. It felt effortless in that respect.
No, yeah, I think it's a combination of all those things. But yeah, in terms of like the humor, like it's interesting because like while filming certain scenes, I was like, oh, I didn't think it was gonna be that funny, and then like you see it and it's funny, and it's just like like I think the best humor comes from playing the seriousness of things, and I don't know what exact how I don't know how he did it, but it worked. Like
but,
I
but
think
it's
we were
interesting
just playing
because
like the seriousness of it.
Melanie, you are the only female in this story,
Yeah.
and in some point you take the leadership of these two guys. They don't know what to because for me, I felt like when I was a teenager, you make decision without thinking of consequences. Like you just do things, and,
Hmm.
and these people just went to do something, but they didn't expect the consequences of the actions because they went emotionally. But your character, Melanie, is like the conscious of all of them because you are the one who put the stop. You are the one who say go. Even this character that you guys kidnap, he tried to convince you because he sees on you the leader of the group. And I
Hmm.
think the alpha female in this group, it's super interesting.
Yeah, no, it was super fun to play, and that was on the page, and yeah, she's the mastermind, and she's the one that's kind of like she sees all the loopholes and how to like manipulate and push these people and get what she wants.
We can't deny that the cryptocurrency is something that we all want to
Hmm.
be part of it. We're curious. We want to invest. We want to make money. How do you expect people react to this movie? Because it has two sides of the story. It shows the side that you can be successful. It can be the side that you can be desperate because you put all your hopes and dreams in one side, and then suddenly someone then make decision about it, and then the combination of the ending. How do you expect the people, the audience, react when they watch the movie, and then if they change their perspective about the currency?
I still don't even know how I feel about cryptocurrency. It's still this very like confusing um world to me. And even though I play this character and studied all the words and vocabulary, but I'm for it in terms of that it gives someone the opportunity to create their own wealth. And I think that's always like that's like the American dream, right? You want to be able to
Hmm.
provide for yourself, but then I'm also really hesitant because there are very bad people who do bad things and um, can take that from you. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm not like a crypto super fan.
I mean, it's a cautionary tale at the end of the day, the film, and I think I hope that it at least lets people know that there's a lot of that they should do their due diligence, going into it. I
Yeah.
haven't touched crypto myself because I know nothing about it. This working on this project educated me quite a bit, but I'm not a gambling man, so I'm conservative in that sense. I don't risk my money, maybe to a fault, but yeah, I hope that it'll at least let people know that they should do their due diligence and get as much information about what's out there.
Yeah.
When in the past year we have so many films showing straight to to any platform than theaters. Uh, do you have any preference on watching any film? Because I feel that now with the streaming services, you guys as an actor, you have more possibilities to get work, to be working constantly than before only premieres in theaters. How do you see this now extending releases of movies like Cold Wallet in platform online that people can have access to from the home?
I think it's exciting because it makes the film more accessible to more people. I grew up in a small town, and a lot of smaller independent movies didn't play in my hometown movie theaters. They still don't. So in this way, kids in middle America and in markets that aren't mainstream will have access to the film, and that's really exciting. That being said, I love going to the cinema. I love putting my phone away, turning it off, and just being in a room with other people and experiencing a film together. I think there's something really invaluable about that, and so I'm happy that we are getting to do both. That there'll be some cities where the film will be playing in cinemas, and I hope people will go out and see the movie in those towns, those cities. But I hope people that discover it in maybe some of these smaller markets where sometimes these smaller independent films don't play.
Yeah, I saw recently Nosferatu in the theater, and something that I hadn't considered even thought about for a while because I watch a lot of things from home um, is like the sound design and the gasps and the like collaborative feeling that really like makes a movie what it is. And I hadn't really experienced that with a group of people again, and it really made me be like, I really want, as grateful as I am that other people get to see it, I really want to push for that, going to the cinema more because it is a very religious experience for me.
Hmm.
And that I think we just need more of it.